God knows us so well. As the gospel just ended, it says Jesus didn't need anybody to testify to him about human nature. He himself knew it well. Not just because Jesus is human, well, he's just like us, but also because he's God, the God who happened to make human nature. So of course God would know us well. Better than we know ourselves, really, considering all the times we get ourselves into different messes. Jesus understands us, even in those times of our faults and failings. God knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows better than we do what will make us happy. And perhaps we've experienced something of this in our lives. You've been trying to do things your own way. You're not getting very far. Things are just not working out. And so finally you just kind of give up. Okay, God, I guess I'll, what's your way? And then suddenly things seem to get better again. Amazing. Father is very patient with us, always working in the background to draw us to himself. As God brought the Hebrew people back in the Old Testament out of the land of Egypt, so he's also desires to draw us out of the slavery of sin. After he freed them out of physical bonds, we hear what we had in the first reading today. He gave them the 10 Commandments. Those commandments we've been reflecting on through the course of Lent this year, to free them and to free us from the bondage of sin. The commandments point out what in our life can keep us enslaved, keep us in misery. So our Lenten examination of conscience, we've now reached the 6th commandment. You shall not commit adultery. And we'll also include today the 9th commandment. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Because both of these commandments look at how did God make us as men and women and call us to a positive integration of our sexuality into our whole being. The 6th commandment focuses more kind of on the external actions. You shall not commit. Whereas the 9th is about the internal desires. You shall not covet. And when it comes to this area, in order to understand God's commands and the teachings of his church, we have to remember that God knows us so well. He made us, male and female, in his image. So, real human love has to be modeled after the love of God himself. Has to be in that image. So any thought or action has to imitate his love in order for it to be healthy for us, both in our bodies and our souls. So what does that love look like? It's free, total, faithful, and fruitful. Those 4 characteristics really do a good job summarizing what God's love is about. Because God's love is free. Love is freely given and received. You can't earn love and you can't force it on anyone. Love then is total. It's a love that gives all. I mean, if you think of it, God gave so much that he was even willing to die. Love is faithful. It sticks with the one who's loved through anything and everything. God's so faithful that even when we're not faithful back to him, he remains faithful. God's love is fruitful. When we experience love, it's life-giving. It brings life to us. The many sins that fall under these 2 commandments are sins because they fail to express that kind of love. And just to give one example, adultery, that's mentioned explicitly, it's a sin because, well, first, by definition, it's unfaithful. And it's also not free, and it's not total because the person has already given themselves entirely to their spouse in marriage. And finally, it's not fruitful. It doesn't really bring life to those who commit it, nor is it usually open to the new life of children. When thoughts or actions fail to imitate God's love, then they really become lies. lies about the way God has made us through the language of our bodies. Instead of love, they become lust. They become using another for one's selfish pleasures. So, have I remembered that my body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? Did I willfully entertain impure thoughts or desires? Did I deliberately look at impure TV programs, computer sites, videos, pictures, movies? Did I commit impure acts with myself or with others through adultery or fornication? Have I been faithful to my husband or wife, both in my heart and in my conduct with others? Have I sinned through the use of contraception or sterilization? Have I touched or kissed another person in a lustful way? Have I treated others in my thoughts and in my deeds as objects? Am I married according to the laws of the church? Did I advise or encourage anyone to marry contrary to the laws of the church? Well, many people today have real struggles in this area. Just knowing the commandments, just knowing what's right and wrong, doesn't automatically give one the ability to be able to follow it. The strength of those temptations, the addictive nature of some of the sins in this area, they can be really oppressive, like a slavery. It can bring so much shame, embarrassment, maybe so much that they can't even bring themselves to come to the healing sacrament of confession. But the good news is that Jesus has come to bring us freedom. He knows us so well. He knows how we can get trapped in sin. Just giving the commandments, just telling us what was right or wrong, that wasn't enough for God. He desired to give us the ability to follow him. When we see our weaknesses, we can think, if only I were strong enough not to do that. If only I were strong enough, I didn't have to sin. But we're not. And that's why Jesus is here. St. Paul said in that second reading that the weakness, even the weakness of God, is stronger than human strength. See, Jesus brings the power of the cross, the power that freely and faithfully gave himself totally, even to death, so that he could bring the fruit of everlasting life to each one of us. From our baptism, Jesus Christ has come now to live within us, filling us with the Holy Spirit, the only power that can lead us out of the slavery of sin into happiness. So come to him. Don't be afraid to get rid of whatever is burdening your heart. Bring it to him. Bring it to the sacraments. Bring it to reconciliation. No matter what you've done, no matter what's happened to you, God apparently thinks that you are worth the death of his Son. I know it's hard to believe. We don't have to believe that, of course. We can continue to live as if God couldn't possibly like us, if we want. But if we do that, we're not living in accord with reality. So let's just give up to him. He really likes you.